I don't
It's
know if
very
we've said
important.
this on the podcast, but that was a good point you made when we were just talking after day one in Phoenix, was like how you set your prices
Mm,
and how you raised your prices was
yeah.
by just comparing yourself to someone who you thought was better.
Hmm.
And I think if you haven't said that out loud on the podcast, that would be a good thing for people to hear, like how you did that.
Yeah, that's another big point of contention I think for trainers. This is after you've gotten your niche, you've gotten your clients, you've found out, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? How do I scale? And that's something that I'm sure your course covers, but it's something that for me at least, that was a real tough thing to challenge. I didn't know whether or not it was, okay, let me just overnight 10x my prices and just let everyone figure it out. Maybe I lose them, maybe I don't. One area that I really struggled with was finding out the proper progression of pricing and how it could. I didn't want to, because I had a lot of people, including my father, telling me no one is ever going to pay you at the time it was $100. He's like, no one is ever going to pay you $100 to come work out in your garage with you. It's never going to happen. And it was a very uncomfortable transition for me. But one thing that helped me was looking at the market around and looking at the trainers that were around me. And that's why in my location, I felt very comfortable in what I was doing. I said, no, I respectfully, I disagree. I think that this is worth $100 and then $120 and then $140 and now $150. And I did that based on who was in my area and what they were offering. I looked at, okay, well, if I'm charging $100, who around me is charging $100? Well, what are they doing? Well, okay, this guy, he's got this studio. He does semi-private 6-person classes. I go in and I literally did this. I walked in because I started with Google, which is a great place to start this. You find out what everyone's charging. I picked the top 3, went in, met with their coaches. And this is back. I don't think I could quite do this now because they probably know who I am, but I walked in, took their classes because a lot of these guys would either offer consultations or workshops or just something to get an introduction, talk to them, kind of dug out the nitty gritty of what it is they were offering and started from there. That was where I always had, I think I brought this up the day after class, I always had the backdrop of knowing where the top was. To me, still to this day, Ian Danny over at PEP, I think he charges $300 a session, but I know what he does. I know who he works with. I know what he offers. And that's still the peak. That's Mount Everest out there. And I'm not there yet, but is what I'm offering worth half of that? Yeah, it is. So 150 makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, to me, very important. That's a really, really important area for, I think, any entrepreneur in any field. Find out what you're selling, find out who else is selling it and what they're charging. And try to check your ego out of it a bit and really be unbiased and ask yourself, is what I'm offering better or even the same? That's a big, because you can price yourself out of the market. If I jumped into this and I said, well, I'm by myself here, that's private training, I'm going to charge 150. Ain't nobody going to come in here and work. No. I didn't even have AC. I had no AC. That would not have worked. But with time, with patience, and just with knowledge being kind of the backbone of all these decisions, it did work.
Yep.
And so it's working now.
I don't know if you did it this way, but one thing I found effective is when I've decided to raise my prices, I'll raise them for new clients and keep prices the same for current clients
100%.
And maybe not even tell the current clients that I've raised my prices until there's sort of like a natural conversation.
Yeah.
So like recently I had a client who just competed in a powerlifting meet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like after the meet, it's like, hey, just wanted to check in. Since the last time we talked about pricing, I've raised the prices for one-on-one powerlifting coaching. I also have this team training option now, which is much lower price where you get non-customized workouts.
Yep.
This is the price, the new price. You're a friend, you've been a client for 6 months. I'm going to give you a discount off of that, but it's still higher than what you've been paying.
Right.
Which option do you want to do? Do you want to switch to the team training for a while till you get ready for another meet and then go one-on-one, stick with one-on-one?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's you're not just blindsiding them on a Wednesday, randomly.
And offer them maybe even just a window into why this is happening.
Yeah.
See, for me, when I scaled up, I did it exactly how you said. I kept for as long as I could. Eventually, and today, I like it because everybody's on the same page for one-on-ones. And before I go into this, I want to let you know your conversation with me about how you structured semi-private actually made me open up semi-private, which is what I'm doing now. oftentimes the push is charge more, charge more, charge more. But sometimes if you're already at that area where you say, okay, I'm very comfortable at a 150 an hour, like that's okay for me. Changing and not scaling back, but changing the structure of it, opening up semi-private to me, I think is going to be enormous. The market for 75 an hour is thrice what the market for 150 an hour is.
And you get 3 people at 75, that's a lot more than 150.
4.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
for me, I just decided, okay, I'll just carve out 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Hey, in the beginning, there'll be one person in there and I'll be getting half what I think I'm worth, but that's okay. That's perfectly fine. This is something that goes for longevity. And all I had to do was reach out to one of the 40 people that have reached out to me in the last 6 months and say, hey, I know you couldn't swing it at 150. I just want you to know now it's 75 if you can come at 4. And in a week.
And you're okay with a couple other people being there.
Yeah.
Right? You're getting your own plan. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm just saying the training is exactly the same. It's going to be circuit based. There's going to be A and B squad, 2 circuits, 4 circuits for the workout, total of 45, 50 minutes. You know the drill. You already hear. It's just with a couple other people.
Yep.
Most of them, that's perfectly fine. Most people are okay with that. And that was a big thing that you pointed out that I decided to adapt. And I think that's going to be very, very, very beneficial.
Yeah. I got that from, I believe it was Rachel Cosgrove is her name. She's got a really, really successful gym business, I think is based in California. She was one of the speakers at, it's called the Raise the Bar event in Orlando.
I've heard of it.
Last
Yeah.
February. They're doing another one this year.
Are they?
It was very good. Like amazing lineup of speakers, like from Dan John to like Charlie Weingroff to Tony Gentlecore to John Russin. It was fantastic. But she talked about how like iterations of her business, like almost failing, changing, pivoting, like couldn't afford rent this month to like, I have to expand because we have so many clients. I need a bigger space. We got to knock a wall down. And at this
I like
point,
that.
they're
I do that all the time.
They're like 100% semi-private.
Yeah. And private, semi-private, if you were to ask me, this is what we sell when we do seminar work. We are selling the business model that gets you to the point where you are private, semi-private, in person with the option to also do online high ticket offers. But high ticket, that's what I like. I want to be the best in my market and be paid like I'm the best in my market. That's the idea that I think everyone should strive for. If you're not striving to be better than everyone else, I just don't understand your mindset quite the same as mine, because to me,
the podcast, right?
Yeah, you go.
Right
Becoming the
you.
1%. That's right. Boom. But to me, it's very important to have that mindset and to apply it in how you actually work.